together with Christ. By grace are you saved, and hath raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places. So let me ask you a question. Where are you? Are you sitting in this building in Wisconsin? Because Paul says that you're somewhere else. We do sit in heavenly places because Jesus Christ has taken us there. Because he is there, Paul says that we are there. And so, once we accept Jesus Christ, the work that he has done, we'll go through a little bit about the work of Jesus Christ. Even when we were enemies, we were reconciled to God by the death of his Son. So if you ever feel like you're not accepted, I sat in those very pews 40, how many years ago? 45 years ago. And I know as teenagers, acceptance is a big thing, not only of other teenagers, but of parents, faculty, everything. And here, we see in the scriptures that we are accepted by God even while we were yet enemies. We were reconciled to God by the death of his Son. So what I'm doing is I'm taking Hindus and I'm taking Buddhists and I'm taking unbelievers through the process of Jesus Christ's acceptance. Because all the other religions, they have this underlying understanding that something's missing. I see it the most in the Hindus. They have a feeling that something's wrong. Something's missing. And so when you stand up before them and talk to them about Jesus Christ, it clicks. The spirit that is in them and the spirit that is in you speaking, click. And they say, yes, this is what I'm missing. And the more you talk about Jesus Christ, the more they are on board. So I'm taking you through what I go through with them, show them the work that Jesus Christ did. And you that were sometimes alienated and enemies in your mind by wicked works, yet now hath he reconciled through the body of his flesh. So Paul says the same thing that he said earlier, but he says, while you were committing wicked works, proving that you were an enemy, you were reconciled to God by the death of his Son. This is how much Jesus Christ loved us. And so once we see the work of Jesus Christ and accept him as our Savior, we step into receiving the Holy Spirit, right? And so I'm going to go through John chapter 14 a little bit. In my Father's house are many mansions. If it were not so, I would have told you. I go to prepare a place for you, and if I go, I will come again and receive you unto myself, that where I am, there you may be also. See, Christ starts off talking about a physical representation, right? He quite often does that in the book of John. And then he turns it into a spiritual idea, a spiritual concept. And so at the end of this, he says that where I am, there you may be also. So where is Jesus Christ? He's in heaven. Yes. Be more specific. Where is Jesus Christ? Most holy place. Yes. So where is he wanting to take us? Right. Because if he takes us through the process of the sanctuary, we have gone through justification, we have gone through sanctification, and we are in the most holy place connected to the Father, right? And so that's where Christ wants to take us. So in John chapter 14, verse 10, he tells us where he is. I am in my Father. Verse 11, he says, I am in my Father. Verse 20, on that day you will know I am in my Father, you are in me, and I am in you. See, he's changing it from a physical representation to a spiritual idea. Yes, he wants to take us to heaven, but he wants to connect us with the Father first. He wants us to experience the early rain and the latter rain and be connected with the Father. So in verse 20, he says, on that day, you will know. What day is he talking about here? Second coming, she says. Anybody else have another idea? That's a physical representation, the second coming. Jesus is trying to get a spiritual idea across. The Sunday churches I speak at, they get it right away. Close, but that's not what Christ is talking about here. When did the 120 in the upper room receive the Spirit? Pentecost, yes. So Jesus Christ is predicting Pentecost in verse 20. On that day, you will know, you will experience, I am in my Father, you are in me, and I am in you. Christ says what? My sheep hear my voice. And he wants us to hear his voice. So this is the plan of salvation spiritually poured out before us in John chapter 14. He that hath my commandments and keeps them, he it is that loves me, and he that loves me shall be loved by my Father, and I will love him, and I will manifest myself to him. So what's Jesus Christ talking about here? Verse 21, there was the one right after verse 20. This is Christ's idea of him coming to you through the power of the Spirit. If you keep my commandments and you love me, I will come and you will hear my voice. That's what Jesus is saying here. This is the early rain. Verse 23, Jesus answered and said unto him, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him and make our home with him. What's Jesus saying here? It's almost like verse 21, but he says we. Who's the we? Christ and the Father. Jesus says, if you love me, keep my words. So if we follow him, if we have a relationship with him, if we spend time in the scriptures, if we spend time in prayer, I will come and dwell with you, and then we will come and dwell with you. So Jesus Christ is telling us we will experience, through the power of the Spirit, both the early rain and the latter rain in John chapter 14. This is all about the coming of the Spirit and the coming of Jesus Christ to be with you. All represented right there in the Old Testament. So if Jesus has taken us through the process of justification, sanctification, and into the most holy place, where are you at? Paul says, has raised us up together and made us sit together in heavenly places. Where's the only place to sit in that room? Yes, the mercy seat. On the throne with the Father. So that's what Paul is saying, that because Christ is in heaven, He has taken us there. He can take you there spiritually if you spend the time with Him. Okay, now the places I've been. This is Thailand, Bangkok, the capital city you fly into all the time. And all the places that I've been with other missionaries distributing Bibles or distributing Spirit of Prophecy books. The line over there by the border, that other country is Burma, Myanmar. It's had civil war going on for 70 or 80 years. That's where most of the missionaries do their work. The Karen people are in that area, both in Thailand and in Myanmar. And so there's a lot of missionaries helping out. There's, I don't even know how many orphanages and camps on the Thai side of the border that have displaced people living out their whole lives in these camps. Essentially a concentration camp. They can't leave because they're not citizens. They can't go home because their homes are constantly being bombed, so they're living in orphanages. India is where I've spent most of my time. The area to your left, there with a lot of stars on it. Last year, I spent almost 6 months there working with church officials, going from village to village, going from church to church, telling people about Jesus Christ and what He has done for them. Here, conducting Bible worker training for pastors and Bible workers for that area. A lot of the pastors, a lot of the workers don't have the opportunity to go to a university or college, and so they hire people that have a little understanding of the Scriptures to be Bible workers, maybe some other people that are a little stronger in the Scriptures to be pastors, and so to go and give Bible instructions is highly needed. But the joy of the whole thing was to go around and do this, house-to-house ministry, all set up through the Bible workers or the pastors. There's a family in this house and some neighbors. Go there. We go and spend 2 hours talking, sharing with them about Jesus Christ. Some of them have Bibles. Most of them don't. House-to-house ministry. I've lost track of how many we've gone to. In the 2 years I've been doing this, probably over 100 different places where we've gone. And, you go from village to village to village, talking about Jesus Christ. It's kind of different because most of these, in their culture, the women are in charge of the spiritual side of the house. So the women are all the ones that are always up front. They're the ones with the Scriptures and their markings. In fact, when I was going through and talking to one group, I noticed that the lady sitting in front of me, all the Scriptures that I was going over, she already had marked. And so it was interesting how the Spirit works. The Spirit had been talking to her about what's important to get to know the work of Jesus Christ. Group here, this was kind of odd because it was all men. I think there was one woman and 2 kids and 40 men. It was a little different. Here we are downtown, the capital city. This is a group of Sunday believers, and they are from Nepal. They've come to India to run from the persecution that they get in Nepal, even though there is persecution also in India. It's not as bad yet. And so somebody found out that we were going around preaching about Jesus Christ, and so we got invited into this Bible study group. And so I was able to speak to, I think there was around 100 Nepalis in this group. And of course, everywhere you go, there's always problems that you have to deal with and work your way through. But I soon recognized that when my schedule was being diverted by a vehicle breakdown or whatever it happened to be, look around. Because God allowed that vehicle to break down because there's a guy sitting over here on a bench that he wants you to go and talk to Jesus about. So every time we get interrupted in our schedule, I look around, is there anybody around here that I need to share a book with or talk to about Jesus Christ? And there's always something. You fix your vehicles and you're on your way again. No, it's not going to. But this is one of the churches in India where we did some meetings. And the kids always show up early because they know they're going to go through this or they're going to get some treats or something. And so the pastor's taking them through. Maybe you recognize what they're doing. The rains come down and the floods come up. And another church where the kids are performing for the... I don't recognize the song. So the whole church is just packed full of women and kids. And there'll be some men standing out back looking like they're ignoring you, but they aren't. Oh yeah, and this church here, we were conducting the meetings, and the Hindu temple right down the road, the local Hindu priest got upset about it, so he started having meetings every evening too to compete with us. And so some of my people left and to join his group, but we kept going and we didn't let that bother us. But you can see the back door there, or the front door, and towards the end of the meetings, a couple of nights, kids would show up in masks, their Hindu masks and their Hindu garb, and they'd dance out there and sing and try and distract me. But I've got a good loud voice, and I always just speak over top of them. So it didn't bother me. I thought it was great that they felt the need to do that, because we're there preaching about Jesus Christ, and they know that there's going to be an effect. They know that people are going to accept Jesus Christ and come and join this church. This is our youngest Bible worker. I'm not sure, she's about 7 or 8 years old. She was teaching her neighbor friend the Lord's Prayer. And her father saw it, grabbed his camera, and filmed it. Such a blessing to see how God works in every area. This is our group of ministers and Bible workers and the conference president and the union president sitting there beside me. Just a wonderful group of people going around doing the work of Jesus Christ. One of the meetings that we conducted, I was standing up front speaking about Jesus Christ, and in walks a police officer. And my thinking automatically went, I envisioned myself in handcuffs being taken out of the building, because it's, anyway. And he comes in, and he finds an empty spot, and he sits down. And he sits there and listens to the whole thing. Comes up to me and the president, conference president afterwards, and says, hey, I just built a house on the other side of town. There's an empty lot. That's the one I'm standing on. Please buy that lot and build a church. Me and my family will join your church. And I will use my police force to protect your church and protect your people. So the doors that God is going to open up, you just never realize. Here I'm standing on a brick wall looking into a piece of property. While we were going around preaching in different villages, the one village we spoke at, the mayor came up to us afterwards and said, hey, I heard your group overheard somebody talking about building a school. He said, we have some land on the side of our village that we will give you if you come and build a school there and run it and operate it, teach our kids. There's 5 villages in our area here. We have to transport our kids 20 kilometers away to get them educated. Please come and build a school. We will give you this property. And so there's a picture of another school that we'd like to duplicate that building right on that site. And so I think the conference has already exchanged property ownership, and they are moving forward with building a school here. In this area, particularly in this area, there was a huge desire. You could see it in their face, you could see it in their expression, to know about Jesus Christ. When I would stand up and there's people sitting on the floor, and they have their Bibles, some of them have their Bibles, and you walk them through an understanding of Jesus Christ. When they first sit down, they have a look like many of you guys have. But when you get about halfway through, 3/4 of the way through, their face is just gleaming with an understanding of what Jesus Christ has done for them. They, like I said, they have, I believe, most of them have in the back of their minds, Hinduism is wrong. There's something missing. What is it? But they don't know what it is. You stand up and you talk about Jesus Christ, and they know that's what I'm missing. The more you talk about it, the more they want it. And so then you're done, you get done after 2 hours of speaking, and their face is just gleaming about what Jesus Christ is to them. Here we're in Thailand. There's a school in Thailand that attracts a lot of Chinese because Chinese Christians are persecuted. They get visas, they go to Thailand to get educated. And so here I was invited in, we had the opportunity to speak about Jesus Christ again. Some of these guys have been persecuted. In fact, the minister, if you look at the guys in the white shirts, the minister is the last guy in the white shirt toward the middle of the screen. He just spent 9 months in Chinese prison for being in China speaking about Jesus Christ. And so he is now at this church teaching his fellow Chinese about Jesus Christ. And so I'll be working with him when I go back to Thailand in a few weeks. I'm not sure when that's going to be yet. The older lady there in the middle, her name is Catherine. She is the mother of the mission field and when it comes to Thailand. She has been there longer than anybody else. She's 70, I think she said she's 75 years old. And she was outworking me. She is just a trooper. She has been there so long and been doing the work so well that she has been, no civilian in Thailand is allowed to operate an ambulance. She has 2 of them. She was recently given a document by the state saying, specifying all of her wonderful work, and that she has the legal right to operate an ambulance, being a civilian, being a non-resident in Thailand. Because of all the great work that she's done, God has opened the doors, and she just keeps on going. And so most of all of the other people there are all Filipinos. The pastor over on this side and his wife and all the rest of them are Filipinos, all do digital ministries. They all work in the digital broadcast area. And so when I go back, this is the group that I'll be working with. Wherever I go, wherever I speak, I'll be taking 1 or 2 or many of these along to record everything and then sit down later and splice it and put it on Facebook and YouTube and wherever else so that everybody in the world can see and learn about Jesus Christ. And so we are at her place called the Bamboo School. She's on the Thai border. Spoke in a Sunday church. The pastor and the whole audience has decided that they want to become Seventh-day Adventists. They've studied the Sabbath, and they've seen other places in Scripture that we have greater light, and so they've decided to bring their whole church over and become Seventh-day Adventists. And so I had the privilege to stand up in front of them and speak about Jesus Christ. Here I was in the pastor that's standing up there with me, he keeps contact with a lot of the other churches. He makes friends, he goes there on Sunday and worships and fellowships with them. And I wouldn't say worshipped, he just stays in contact with them. And so that's why we were invited in. And this is one of his contacts. This is a Catholic church. And so I was invited in to speak. And he's not wearing his usual Catholic look because you can't. You go outside, you get persecuted if you look too Christian. And so I was invited in to speak at this Catholic church. And half the audience came up afterwards and said, hey, where can we find out more about what you're talking about? Because, a lot of the Catholic organization is salvation by a little bit of grace and a little bit of works. And so when you preach specifically Jesus Christ, salvation by grace, the Spirit in them and the Spirit in you connects. And so because of that, I was invited to a camp meeting. All the Sunday worshiping, all the Christian organizations get together 4 times a year in India to a camp meeting. And this is one of the camp meetings. Does anybody read Hindu? And so we were invited in to speak about Jesus Christ in this organization. And then I flew out to Thailand, out of India to Thailand, because I'm thinking my work isn't done in Thailand or in India. And then the pastor calls me up. either the day I landed or the day after and said, hey, the camp meeting group has invited you back. They want you to speak there again. I said, oh man, I'm in Thailand, so can we take a rain check? And so I really look forward to going back and speaking at the camp meeting there again. Except this time, I'm going to tie into it. You got to take your steps slow. People need to hear a little truth and then think about it. Hear a little bit more truth and think about it. So, next time I'll present the Sabbath. State of the dead is a difficult one in these areas because of so much ancestry worship and multiple God worships. It's easier to do a presentation on the Sabbath than it is the state of the dead. Another area that the missionary organization sent me over to a different state because this state had gone through a lot of persecution in 2008. They burnt down several churches. They killed about 1,000 Christians. They killed a pastor and his wife. And then the missionaries that were there, they dumped gasoline on their car and set it afire with the missionaries inside the car. So in some places in India, it's pretty bad. And so there's about 20 churches in the state that aren't used because of the persecution was so bad. If any of you are interested in the medical missionary work, I don't know anything about medical, but the missionaries that I was with came across this guy who he's probably 13, 14 years old. He had tripped on a piece of metal and it had cut the skin right off the top of his foot. And when we had got there, it was all festered and oozing this nasty stuff. We took it, cleaned it up, and put charcoal on it and wrapped it up. And came back once a week and changed it out. Charcoal and wrapping, charcoal and wrapping. 6 months later, that's what it looks like. Totally healed up through charcoal and the prayer of God. So if any of you are interested in medical missionary work, there are also areas you can go and serve right where Pakistan. The boys dean, said that I did a digital ministry. This is part of my digital ministry. I have not been to Pakistan, but I speak to about 5 groups there, teaching them about Jesus Christ because I've connected with a Bible worker in the area, and he has these groups already. And so he takes his camera and his speakers and essentially me right into the meeting, and I get to speak to all these wonderful people in Pakistan while I'm standing in Thailand, or while I'm standing in India, or while I'm standing here in the U.S. I can be evangelizing in Pakistan. And you can do the same. Another Sunday group, another Bible worker that I'm contacted with, and he quite often leases out this auditorium and talks about Jesus Christ in there and invites me in to speak to them. All from the comforts of Thailand. One of the Bible workers, which is the third guy from the left, he's my Bible worker, and all of these guys are either Muslim or Hindu or some other kind of religion, but they've all decided they'll get together and they'll have theological discussions, about God or about paradise or about different things. And so the Bible worker has got this group together, and him and I are both intrigued to see where this goes, because these are not people that want to become Christians, but they want to get together and talk about who is God? Is there a spirit? Who is this person, Jesus Christ? And so there's the doorway into who knows what. In India, They're quite often people that come from Pakistan and from Uzbekistan and all kinds of different countries, because there's work to be had in India unloading ships. They get a contract, they come, for 4 months they'll unload a ship. It's all unloaded by hand. Everything's by hand in India. And so they'll bring, the families, and they'll live there, and then when the contract's over, the ship's done, they're staying in India. They don't have the legal right to go home. They don't have the legal right to be there, and so they're just displaced people. So they find trash around. They build I wouldn't call it a building. They build something to live in out of trash. And so one of the Bible workers goes and feeds the kids and talks to them about Christ. And here's the same thing. A group of kids out of families that have no home, no place to live, no nothing. And these people are allowed to squat on this land because it's such bad land, nobody else wants it. It's nothing but rock and trees. And so through all this traveling, I've made a lot of contacts with ministers and Bible workers. And we have started, with this group of Filipinos, we have started a SALT program in Thailand, where we speak to people locally, take them through a 3-month course of Bible instruction. The first month is all Bible instruction, Spirit of Prophecy. The second month, we send you out to a mission field. So for a month, you get to spend time with missionaries that have been on site for 10 years, 20 years. One of the groups, they have a publishing business. They have a printing press up in the mountains, and they make books. And they have been there long enough. They are friends with the generals in the Korean army. And they've gotten permission to use the drones from their army to take bags of books into the war zone and drop them off using drones. So God's reach continues to grow. It doesn't just drop bombs, it drops books. And so Jesus Christ is being taken in through their ministry. Or another, like Kat. Kath, I showed you her earlier. There she is. If you want to take 6 months off and spend it with her in an ambulance, she drives into these war zones and rescues people who are being shot and blown up and whatever. She's a registered nurse, and she's been there for, I think she said, close to 40 years. And so she's been given legal right to drive an ambulance, and so she knows that there's minefields in there. She knows that there's bullets flying around. But God has a protective hand over her. You want to go to India and work with a conference opening up churches? There are many places, many organizations that you can go and you can spend 15 days preaching Jesus Christ in a church and see 15 people at the end of it raise their hand. Yes, I want to be baptized. I want to be a follower of Jesus Christ. And then someday, meet them on the sea of glass, streets of gold. Pakistan is a difficult area right now. We're hoping to, this is our model program right here. I was in Bangladesh. I took some time and went to Bangladesh, and I was talking with the conference president. I said, hey, I'm interested in opening a school here an outreach center. I want to hire some Bible workers and put them someplace. I notice you have a church and a school over in this one location that isn't being used. Nobody goes there to the church. Nobody goes to the school. I want to lease that property. And he said, no, not that. He directed me to this. And so this is an old ADRA building. ADRA is currently working out of this building in Bangladesh. But they want to step away from it, so they've asked me to purchase it. And we're going to buy it, operate a school on the lower level, and a mission outpost on the second level. And we're going to use this as our cookie cutter program, and we're going to put one in Pakistan, we're going to put one in India, we're going to put one in Bangladesh, and we're going to put one everywhere God opens the door. But we need money, and we need funding, and we need people. And so if any of you want to, when you graduate here, instead of going to our wonderful University of Andrews or Southern or Walla Walla, you want to take a year off, you want to take 6 months off, go to the mission field. Doesn't matter what you want to do. What is your interest? Somebody tell me what their interest is. Nursing? Nursing. I know you can go to Kat's place and do nursing, or if you want to be a little safer, there's another place in Thailand where you can go and work with another nurse, and she runs around the jungles of Thailand being a nurse. Yeah, she's been there for 15 years. She also is, I think she's like 73 years old. She's been there for, her husband divorced her out of the blue one day, and she was in shock. She didn't know what to do with the rest of her life. Her husband divorced her, took everything, left her alone, and the very next day, she gets this envelope in the mail, something about, hey, go be a nurse in Thailand or in the mission field. She called the number. A month later, she was there doing nursing in the jungle. So what else are you interested in? Tell me another interest. Anybody interested in digital media? Nobody? There's usually somebody that's interested in digital media. Audio, video stuff. You want to go anywhere in Asia and learn and do audio, video stuff from experienced professionals. Most of those Filipinos have come out of the business world where they've been doing digital media. They know what they're doing. I had them create a video for me. Wow, it was nice. Where I talk about the whole mission field and I'm going to send it out to 2 different places to be broadcast here shortly, but really good professional work. What else you want to do? Automotive. Kat's ambulances are breaking down all the time. You can go and work on ambulances. And when you're not working on ambulances, you can teach English to her children. She's got 18 kids. I forget how many kids. And she's the only one there raising these kids. And one of the VPs that was just voted into the GC, I forget his name, he is Korean, came from her organization. And he's now vice president in the GC. That's how long she's been there. He came out of the war zone of Thailand, and he's now vice president in the GC. Anybody interested in publishing books and distributing literature evangelist work? Business. There's literature evangelist work. Spreading books around to pastors, Bible workers, all kinds of people. Business, yes, there's a guy in Cambodia running a business doing publishing work. The business of publishing, and he gets contracts from private entities around Cambodia to publish books and pamphlets and all kinds of stuff. That's the business that he runs. What's that? Physical therapy. Yes. Any one of these places, there's a greater need for physical therapists because some of the conditions these people work in, they can barely move. I mean, you know, when they're down here doing rice all the time and they stand up, this is how they walk around. You'll see the older people, and that they can't stand up straight anymore because they're so used to working with rice in the fields. Or they get cut with machetes, and they need some charcoal and what, you know, you name it, it's in the mission field. There's families there. I was just with a family a few months ago. They recently had their 4th baby in the mission field at their house. I wouldn't let animals live in their house. It is that bad. But they live there. It's got 3 walls, part of a roof, no floor. They built it in a rice paddy. And after going around to all the different missionary opportunities, I was watching him and his family, what they endure. And I told myself, man, how can I call myself a missionary? Sorry. How can I call myself a missionary watching him? Because he takes a shower out of a garden hose. I mean, the water is so cold, it's almost freezing. They live off of food that I can't eat. When I see him, I think, there's one of the 144,000. Because he has overcome the flesh. Rain, heat, wind, food, whatever it is, does not stop him. And it was him and his family that went around this country and spread these books. They do an amazing work. They don't do anything online. Hardly anybody, nobody in the States even knows about him. But he is there doing an amazing work. So, let me check my notes because I haven't been. Yeah, the publishing, dropping off books to the drones, digital media work, music programs. Music programs are a wonderful wedge to make friends, to create friendships, and then, 6 months later, they're going to talk to you because they see that you're different. What is it about you? What do you believe? And then that opens the door. I believe in Jesus Christ. Music programs are great. And so anybody that is interested in knowing more, I have a picture flyer. All of our outposts are on the back here. You want to go to Africa, you want to go to Laos, you want to go to Japan, you want to go to Ukraine. The mission field's wide open. But I'm stationed in Thailand because I actually feel safer in Thailand than I do in the U.S. So there's what I've been doing for the past 2 years. There's what you can do, next door or the other side of the globe. Tell people about Jesus Christ. I'm also connected with a group who watches what the government's doing, and they just hired what was his position? Secretary of Labor. And he wrote the document for the Sunday law. And it's probably in the works as we speak. So there isn't much time in this world. If I can talk any of you out of going to college and going to the mission field instead, that's what I'm here for. Because like I showed you here, age doesn't matter. 7 years old or 75 years old. There is a place. God has, what does it say in Jeremiah? I have a purpose for you. God has a purpose for you. And so I've put together a SALT program that we're doing in Thailand. We're going to do some Bible training for, like I said, a month. Send you out to one of these mission outposts for a month. Come back and do more Bible training for a month. And at the end of this program, I guarantee you, you will hear the voice of God in your head. Because the things that we're going to implement, what is the promises of God? When he says, you keep my commandments and I will abide, his promises are sure, are they not? And so if you do this, he will do this. And he wants to be closer to you than anybody, anything. He wants to come and speak with you. He wants to come and give you strength. He wants to come and make it so that you can get through today. You can get through next week. You can get through next year. He will be the strength that dwells inside you. I always end with, if I come to your place and I spend 5 minutes a day with you, are you going to get to know me? No, you're not. If I come and spend 3 hours a day with you, we're going to get to know each other pretty well, right? And so when you consider opening up your Bible, when you consider reading Scripture, I want to test you or try you when you, you probably don't have time while you're in the academy, but do what you can. Because I have found that 3 hours a day is the window. If you go past 3 hours a day, for week after week after week, you will start to hear the voice of God in the back of your mind. After a while, and it'll get more and more and greater, not louder, just more prevalent, stronger. And Christ's voice and Satan's voice sounds the same. I've heard them both in my head. I used to live that terrible life that some people talk about. And so I just want to encourage all of you, spend as much time as you can, go somewhere where you can be alone and just sit down and read Scripture. A good place to start is the Gospel of John, Ephesians, Galatians, Isaiah, the Psalms. Different people connect with different things. What connected with me was Paul's writings, because he's got a very legal and logical thinking. So that's what attracted me, but not everybody's attracted to that. Some people like different things. So sit back and enjoy Jesus Christ.